days I came in, things were moving around. Yeah. We're live. Glad to see everybody. Glad to see you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to Town of Shenango Town Board meeting, January 22nd. Would everyone please join me in pledge allegiance? It's over there. Oh, they moved it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Warden.
Here.
Oh. Mr. DiMaggio.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Hulbert.
Here.
Mr. Lumsden.
Here. Mr. Clerk, communications, please.
I have a couple here. We'll start off with Mr. DiMaggio's resignation. To the town clerk, or to the Town of Shenango Town Clerk, please accept my resignation from the Town of Shenango Town Board, effective Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. I've been honored to serve the Town of Shenango residents for these past 10 years. I wish to offer my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to my fellow board members and all the town employees for their dedication and hard work. Respectfully, Jim DiMaggio. And I have an email here from a resident that I'll read into the record. Dear gentlemen, on December 26, 2024, my water pipes burst, which caused my usage to inflate, so I respectfully request that you adjust the current water and sewer bill. When I encountered the burst pipes, I immediately notified the water and sewer office, and then I spoke to Andrew and explained to him that I couldn't shut off the water from the main shutoff due to a medical problem with my hands, which he understood, and he shut off the water for me from the main shutoff in my cellar. I do know that other municipalities work with residents in general to adjust their bill when it comes to an unfortunate incident such as this. So again, I kindly ask that you work with me to adjust my bill. So you confirm receiving. I didn't receive a reply from anyone. Sincerely, Antonio Versace III, and Greg Burden is wondering if there's anything that we can do for him.
Okay.
And we're live streaming for the first time tonight.
Okay.
Which we can talk about when we get to that meeting.
All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to open to open forum. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone and without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Yes, sir. Sure. We can get you a chair over there. I'll get you a chair.
Some right behind you.
Right behind you. Grab a chair there.
My name is Vincent Van Puka. It's nice to meet you guys. I'm working with a company called Solar Harbor, and we work underneath a New York State entity with NetSource. We've been tasked to come around, talk to all the municipalities, small businesses, residents, making sure you guys have started to receive credits on your NYSEG accounts them, big open fields, giant solar panels, they're kind of hard to miss nowadays. Well, what's really great is that these solar farms have started to produce electricity for our local NYSEG area. And as ratepayers into NYSEG, we're actually helping to fund these community solar farms as well as other renewable energy programs through charges on the bill itself. It's called an SBC charge or a system medical charge. Now that these farms are operational, we're actually now all eligible to receive credits directly on the utility bill, lowering the total amount paid. Now, I've been tasked to come around, make sure that everyone is receiving these credits, and if not, we can mark you down to start getting them. So I've come here to the town today. I know I worked with Adam a little bit, receiving the bills through FOIL, and I saw that the town of Chenango is not currently receiving these credits. So I would like to be able to present to you guys in a more formal setting to be able to receive these credits for the town itself. It has no bearing on your current supplier, so you continue to stay with both NYSEG and Constellation. There's no changes to rates. It's a New York State program where you guys are able to receive a 5 to 10% credit, lowering the total amount spent.
No, we'll talk later when we set our agenda, and possibly if the board wants to bring you back, we'll put you on a future agenda.
I'd love to, because I have a lot of findings that I saw to be able to give you more accurate numbers, so that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Do you want me to hang out here for a little while? Or?
Well, we're gonna discuss that at the end of the meeting. It's your choice if you wanna stay here or not. But just, you have a card, business card?
I do, yes.
Could just make sure I have it before you leave, or if you got it, you have his contacts? So if the board decides to put you on a future agenda, we'll get a hold of you.
All right, great.
Thank you.
very much.
Yeah. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening, Chamber Dragonfly, good to be back. We made 10-hour drive back here, after 10 hours back from last time from Michigan. This time, a lot of late pickups. It's really 12 inches. And also to see
Can you speak a little louder? I'm struggling to hear you.
Sure, apologies. We were asked by the town board at the December meeting to produce a framework for a zoning that goes to the that framework should be in front of you. If you don't have that, please finish your comments.
No, we all have a copy of it.
We spent a few months working on this, received guidance from the township attorney. We were actually ready to submit this at the last meeting. It's our understanding that this will be discussed tonight during the attorney review portion of the meeting. During that discussion, both myself and also video on our side, who is also available, ready to comment, should be necessary. So real quick background, refresher, we were licensed
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public speaking. We're going to move on to 5.1, old business. I'd like to introduce to the board our new tax assessor. Her name is Christine, I'm going to try to get this right, Kozemko. Am I close? I'm not sure.
Catherine Kozemko.
Catherine? I was worried about your second one. She'd like to speak, introduce herself.
I'm Catherine Kozemko. I am the current assessor for the town of Barton, and I'm the current assessor for the town of Shenango. Today was my first day. Went fairly well. There's a lot that I'm going to catch up on, but focusing on exemption renewals, just making sure that all of our residents have what they need so they can keep getting their exemptions, and that is my first and foremost priority, and then from there we'll get into everything else, like assessments, all of the regular stuff, but exemptions first, and I will be in every Wednesday, 8 to 4. I will be working remotely as needed. I have access to work remotely that I was approved from the county for today. Was on the phone with IT for quite a while, but I think we have everything mostly squared away. If anyone has any questions, please feel free. Like I said, I'll be in the office every Wednesday.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you
Echo.
all for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity. I'm excited to be here.
Mr. Albert?
When you say you're going to be here Wednesday, do you have office hours that are established?
8 to 4. I'll be here every Wednesday, 8 to 4. And I don't typically make people do appointments unless I know it will be very busy. I try and give people the opportunity to come in since I'm only going to be here a day a week. I typically will take walk-ins. That's what I do at my other town. I'm there typically 1 to 2 days a week, and we don't typically request appointments unless we know it's going to be super busy because we want to give our taxpayers the opportunity, since my hours are so limited, to come in when they need to.
Okay, well, thank you and welcome to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick second, you're utilizing Miss Carrie and Diane for your secretarial skills. She said that she's gonna try to do that the best she can, work around them as long as they don't get too busy or dragged down, so that's what we're doing right now. So Diane worked with her and Carrie worked with her. So if that becomes a problem, you just gotta let us know.
Yeah, I think the clerk on staff would be fabulous, but I don't know, I'm not pushing anything, I
Yep.
am new here, but at the other town I work at, there are 2 of us, and we typically work, 14 hours a week, and that does the job. We have, about 4,100 parcels in Barton, there's about 5,600 here. We have more exemptions as far as ag in the town of Barton, but you all have more exemptions for seniors here. So it is, the workload I believe is about similar,
Okay.
so I think the clerk would be helpful, but I think once I get everything kind of where it needs to be, I should be able to keep it under control.
Okay, thank you. If the board doesn't mind, we're gonna let her get home.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to 5.2, testing the new video stream system. Who wants to do that? Mr. Andrew?
One, two, testing, 1, 2. Well, here we are again, and hopefully for the last time, everybody. To bring to your attention, today is the first day the town is officially streaming, which is available on your website right now. If you go to your front page of Town of Shenango, you can go up to the minutes section. I'll walk it through it for the official minutes here. But from the front page, if you go to minutes and agendas, and you scroll down on that page, you can see the Access the Minutes and Agendas portal. If you click that, you can see that today's meeting on the right-hand side says Town Board. By clicking that instance, you'll be taken down to the bottom section where you can see the agenda. you'll see a new tab at the top that says video. When you click that, you'll be taken to an agenda page that has the video live streaming right next to it. Renee and I from the town spent a significant portion of time last week getting this ready to go. And I feel extremely confident that we've worked out all the kinks for that and that you guys will be set for this going forward. Based on the recommendations of Diligent and conversations between Renee and I, the system is set up to start streaming at 4:57 p.m. It is automated, so no one actually has to start that for you. It'll just begin at that time. My logistic urge to all of you, now that you have a production system that just simply turning on for you, is to make sure, A, that you're using your microphones. If you're not talking into a microphone, you are not heard in that recording or the live stream.
Okay.
Number two, if you're talking into the microphone at 4:57, which is presumably not part of the township time, that conversation is being live streamed as well. So I would urge you to wait until the call to order to put on and turn on your microphones. The system may be on, but it'll be largely muted if none of you are using your microphones. The procedural parts that may be difficult going forward is really going to be those open forum questions. When you introduce people in the township behind me, we have handheld microphones. It would be of benefit. You purchased a standing microphone stand as well. It might behoove the town to set one up in the back to let people come up to that mic to ask their questions, if indeed that needs to be part of the record of the live stream.
That's how a lot of towns do it, correct?
I would think so, yes. Obviously, that's all internal discussions for you. I just want to make sure you're aware of
Just
the
what
metrics.
normal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we're good to go. We found some additional positive news. 2 weeks ago, I was here talking about it, and the expectation at that time was that somebody needed to tag the video in real time as you move through that. We've now learned that you can do that after the fact. You can do it live, but somebody could come in the next day and set the agenda to the video by watching the video and clicking it at the appropriate times. So this system can be set up and done remotely. Adam or whomever doesn't have to be here to get that working for you. And largely the way Renee has set it up, it'll just turn on and then turn itself off at the end of the evening when you're done.
How does it know, they have to physically turn it
So
off at the
Renee
end?
set a time.
Okay.
It'll end at this point, I believe, at 8:10. Renee has the ability to extend that should the session be longer, and then remove that should the session end sooner.
Okay. Any questions?
So we're still going to have another person here to watch over it?
I would say for the first couple, I would encourage you to do that. My thought is that many of you may forget to unmute your mic or turn it on, and that's going to be a muscle you need to build up now. But once you're up and rolling, there's no one who needs to monitor it. It'll be part of your agenda. As long as the programming for your town minutes are set to start 3 minutes before and 10 minutes after, it'll just start and stop at those times.
It's not interactive, right? Like I'm watching it right now, and I don't see an option to.
We've disabled all
Yeah,
comment
okay,
options,
just
which
making
seemed
sure.
prudent.
And
Oh.
it looks like it's about a minute.
It's about 47 seconds is how we
47
set up.
So I
So-
waved my hand, and I was
Yeah.
like,
So if somebody goes on an absolute tirade, we do have the ability to stop before it goes out at that point. But, so if you swear for over a minute. It'll be on the recording that way.
So say if that does happen, a person has to turn that off before it goes out.
But it's only,
Well-
you gotta be here to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
No, you don't, right? It's a public meeting. It's part of the public record. Somebody's up here cussing you out, or one of you is cussing somebody else out.
Right, it's okay, it's
I'd say
public.
leave it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay that it's on there.
Public needs to hear it.
Yeah, public needs to hear it.
the town has purchased approximately 30 meetings worth of storage, which should be about a year. At the end of that time, my understanding, but it's probably worth checking back in with Diligent in about a year's time, is that the oldest meeting will fall off and the newest meeting will stay on.
Really?
Yeah.
We gotta,
Huh?
are we gonna keep them for a record?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, you have to
Are we
check it.
using it as,
I would say to Adam, double check the local government schedule for retention of records about video recordings of meetings. You know, it's
Right.
not an official record, so it's probably not, 6-year, 10-year permanent
No.
requirement, but.
Oh, if I had to guess, it's probably just a year or two, because with the new technology, the retention schedule goes easy on it.
but I thought there was
The
something
storage
with
is
even the
expensive.
recordings, that the clerk would use the recordings, it was, they had to keep them for I thought,
I think for audio recordings, it's just a memory tool.
Okay.
But I do know if you were to allow, I think, a member of the town board to attend the meeting remotely,
Well,
in which
that's a
case then you'd have to
different-
open it up, then you
Yeah.
do have to keep it, the recording for like 5 years and host
Yeah.
it online, all that stuff. I'm not familiar with
yeah.
the requirements for it, so we'll, Adam, take a look at the schedule if you don't see it there.
Sure.
You know, and I can take a look too.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else for Mr. Andrew?
The town can purchase more storage if that indeed that limit is a technical limit, not at all related to a law or a statute you might be following. If you find you need to keep 2 or 3 or 5 years, you can purchase that additional space.
Okay.
And that's cloud storage, right? They can
Correct.
always buy a drive and stick it on there.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm fine.
Good?
No, I'm good.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. You've been a big,
For all your
big
patience,
asset to
appreciate
the
it.
town and really appreciate your help through all this,
Yeah, you helped us out.
Yeah.
big time.
All right, moving on, 5.3, the assessor discussion, we don't need to do that, I don't believe. It was on there. 5.4, wastewater treatment plant update. There is no update. I haven't got anything from the attorneys or Bartla Judas, so we have nothing to report at this time, other than when you guys met with the attorney at the last meeting. Moving on to public hearings, 6.1, there is no public hearing tonight. New business, highway fund balance, town of Shenango. Darren's agenda report. Does everyone see that? I get back to my agenda. Hang on, I was on this. Any questions?
I have none.
Gene, Dave, Kevin?
Hold on.
All right, yeah, I'm trying to get back to it.
just to
myself.
make sure that we're address his request for future board topics.
Right, to put it on late,
Discuss it
discuss
later.
it at the end of the meeting.
Yes.
Yep. Let me write that down so we don't forget to, clerk, you got that too?
Yep.
Okay.
At least the latter portion, the other one was the deadline date for that lift. I was able to get the lift extension date pushed until the end of February with that price. Actual date ended in January 17th for the first set of quotes. So I talked to the gentleman and he said he would extend it for 1 more month for us at that price. After that, can't tell you what it's gonna go up. Not to pressure us or anything, but I just wanted to get it back out there because I know we discussed this about needing capital improvement, during the fund balance, or the ARPA fund issue, or one discussion. The other one is the, letter to you guys allowing, under the truck purchase, allowing me to do 70,000 of my fund balance to purchase a vehicle. And that way I can get the process going, because we're all doing everything, so I was hoping to be able to have that approved from you guys, and then I can start to get the package, everything, the resolution ready to go for next meeting, to go out to bid. If you so choose. And saw the email that everybody got from Lori, showed the amount of money that I had in my fund balance, so, being that, I would like to utilize some of that.
Thoughts?
I believe he did request last meeting to be on the agenda
I
tonight,
believe, yes.
so.
I don't have any issue with him or any other department head to prepare the documents for what he wants to purchase. I mean, I don't know what town board approval, Aaron, you need to go and start that process, to get that together. It just has to
He
be.
can go out to get the quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Where we discussed it was using money that we would approve, get me to allow me to start that process. I don't know, is that right, Nate? I'm just trying to make sure, because it's not budgeted money. It's unbudgeted, so you have to approve the money
But you can still go out and get the quote. You don't need our approval to go get the quotes.
to start the bid package.
No, you can start that and then, right?
So the question would be, he wants to do a formal competitive bid, which will require payment of a legal notice in a newspaper, which will have cost tied to it. And so if there's my view on this is if there's a line item in the highway budget, legal notices related to anything that he might need to be doing, then he could spend money from the legal notices line item without approval by you, he can go out to bid for that. But if he doesn't have a line item he can point to and say, that's where the money's gonna come from, and that's like an appropriate spot for it, then it's not budgeted for him to issue legal notices, and he'd have to get approval from you to pay for it.
For the notice?
Do you? When you do legal notices, do you have, how do you pay for them? Is it out of the line item where you're buying the item?
Truthfully, honestly, I don't know who pays for the legal portion. We do ours. I've done mine.
Did it come out of the clerks in the past? I don't know
see.
what you did.
Yeah, I get the invoices, and if I know it's there, and I'll ask Joy where she wants it, or let her
But
know something
that's
like that.
what you're asking
So it
is,
does come out of mine.
well, out of what though?
Well, it can only come out of yours, Darren, if there is a line that's allocated for that
For that.
Purpose. Specific purpose.
So I'm not plugging anything I believe for that right now. So I will ask the board will allow me to do that. I don't know what that legal notice costs.
It's about the entire fund of your fund balance.
Yeah.
That's not the number that was shared with me.
First number, look at the first number.
No, no,
So-
sir.
Adam, do you know what the legal costs are? Legal notice for the newspaper?
Off the top of my head, it's not a lot of money. I wanna say $50-$60 per notice.
Can I?
So I would make a motion to allow the advertisement in the paper for that, for a fee not to exceed $150.
Okay, I second that. Discussion?
I have none.
I have none.
Is that for both of them? You're doing two?
You gonna do both of them, Jaren?
Or does the other one not?
You're
need
gonna
be-
try to hold the quote for the lift, correct?
The lift
Is
on-
OGS.
now,
Is
the lift
OGS, okay.
outside of mine, that's up to, when you guys discuss everything else, that's separate.
Okay.
For now.
No, that's-
just the truck.
Just
That's
the
fine.
truck.
But for clarity, Darren, the pricing, the contract that you're going to use is New York State OGS pricing for the lift.
The lift is up OGS, yeah.
Right, so there is no procurement, it is just because you've already got the number. Right, okay. So it is so the motion that I made, it was intended only for the truck purpose, and I don't need to modify that.
I'm all set.
All set?
I'm all set.
All set.
Do I gotta amend my motion? I
No.
don't believe so, because you didn't change yours.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. DiMaggio,
Aye.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
Aye. Okay,
Now, the only other question I have on that, sorry, do I need the board's authorization to, for the bid package, or does that come back to the board next meeting, approve the bid package to go out? I haven't prepared that yet.
No, no, you
you put it out and you bring the results back to us, correct?
you,
Yeah,
It's not the way we did it, right?
Yeah, so Darren, I think what the town board is trying to move towards is empowering its department heads to do things like this without
Yes.
needing town board review of like every single thing. Now, I will say, as a department head, you need to keep in mind, don't put out the Cadillac of vehicles and then come to the town board and say, hey, I want this Cadillac, because they
Yeah.
might push back.
And then, yeah,
If there's something controversial or like that you think is a stretch, then I would suggest consulting with the town board to say, hey, this is a stretch item, you guys okay with it? Or maybe when we put the bid package together, it's an alternate, so that way we can still have good pricing on like the base. So it's gonna be about how you tailor it, but that's, I think, a good approach that the town board is saying they'd like to move towards.
Really fine, I appreciate it, thanks.
Okay.
I would, Darren,
No, go ahead.
Darren, my ultimate goal on this is to speed the process up so that you don't have to come, or anybody doesn't have to come to the board 2 or 3 times to vet this all out before it goes out, and then months keep going by and we're, not getting the product in that you want. So my expectation would be that you're putting together the RFP, you're advertising for it, you're obtaining the quotes, and then you're gonna submit to the town board the entire package. This is what you wanna buy, this is how much it's gonna cost, this is how this is how you want it funded, and that's what you're asking for approval on. And that would be an agenda item that we would get to review before we discuss it. Does anybody else see it any different?
No,
I think
that's
it
it.
sounds exactly right.
Okay.
Yes,
Yep.
David?
Since he doesn't have a microphone, he doesn't go out onto the internet, right?
No. So we're gonna have
We'll
to
have to discuss that.
discuss that another time. In the future, we're gonna have to make sure our department heads are speaking so the public can hear them.
I think we should set a podium up with the.
Yeah, I think
if
we
have
should
a
too. This-
standing-
yeah,
standing
something.
microphone,
Yep.
and then everybody,
But in the interim, they can just come up and use the table.
Right.
sure.
And there's a
Okay.
podium, yeah, Jim?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we good with Darren?
No, Dave, you had.
Oh, yeah, Dave.
No, that was it.
That was it,
Okay,
That was it.
about just live stream.
okay.
Nobody heard what he said.
No one heard what he said. Sorry, Darren.
We're learning.
Oh, I apologize, I literally had a conversation with him, I should have thought about it.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
All right, we're gonna move on to 7.2, the RFP for the comprehensive plan. Gene?
You're gonna have to update me on what you guys decided in December on what we're doing, if there was a decision made, but the plan was to put together an RFP and put it out, public notice for a professional firm to do the project management, coordination, and production of a final comprehensive plan for the town. Last time we spoke about it, Nate, you had some samples of an RFP that you had done previously in-house. And I don't remember seeing that distributed, but have you moved forward with that at all?
I did not distribute those. I will, like I said, don't quote me, but I think I would have said, we have them somewhere.
Yes.
And I've got clients who've also done them even without us. One relatively recently that I'm planning on emailing their planner and saying, hey, send me a copy of that. And then I can circulate them. Do you guys want them to just go to Gene, or do you want them to everybody?
I believe it's a town board issue, so I think
No,
the town board should get everything, but as far as coordination and stuff, I could work with you on that part of it.
Then
And,
CC us on it, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys good with that?
Yes.
the other part of the goals of that were to have it completed in 2025. And there was $150,000 put into the
Correct.
budget.
Yep, that's correct.
And that's all encompassing for the entire RFP process. So by the end of 2025 is the goal to have the firm on board and the process started.
To look at all our zoning,
Yes.
correct?
Well, no, not just the zoning, it's the entire comprehensive plan.
Right, but that's part of it. Zoning's part of it, the code's part of it.
Yeah, yep,
Yep, okay.
there's like 30, 40 different parts, so.
Yeah.
Yep, I mean, right from the beginning, right from the survey, all the way to the final public hearing and approval of what finally is adopted.
Yep.
So the comprehensive plan is 50,000.
Yeah, but we allocated 150.
I believe we cut that down when we were doing the budget.
It could be. What line item is that?
I am on
I don't have mine.
page 11, which is, that's A 8020.404, comprehensive plan. It's 50,000.
Could you repeat that number again?
It's A as in Adam,
Yep.
8020.404.
Okay.
Well, I guess regardless of what you budgeted, we're gonna find out what they're gonna charge.
Yep.
Right,
Right.
I was gonna say, don't tell them first, right?
yeah.
$0.
From I
$0.
recall, our discussion on that, we said we could add more money to it from
Right, because it's gonna be
Bring-
a
fund
bring it
balance,
back up.
fund
It's
balance
gonna
if
be a
we needed. We didn't know
multi-year-
where we were gonna be at, just like he said, we didn't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Lord, check tomorrow to make sure it's not
We did,
under
I know.
something else.
I remember we cut it.
The issue with the budget is it's public information. The budget's $50,000, and that's for the development of the comprehensive plan. Everybody, it's not just for the firm doing the fee, because there's other costs associated with that process for the comprehensive plan. So the just for clarity, the $50,000 is not the budget for the RFP. It's for the comprehensive plan process. Saying that, Nate's comment is the truth is gonna be in when we get the proposals back.
What, I didn't hear you.
The truth will be in the proposals, the amount for the proposals that we get in. So keeping in mind that when we look at the RFP, the scope, the more scope we have, the more cost it's gonna be. So we just wanna be realistic on what we're putting in for the scope and what we need. And as far as a timeline, Nate, is it reasonable that that in the next couple of weeks for an update at the next board meeting, and then actually have a discussion the following board meeting?
Yeah, I think so. And do you wanna just pick a day right now to like have a call?
The next board meeting's February 5th, right?
What?
The next board meeting's gonna be February 5th, right?
So, what's your calendar, let's work off of yours, and I'll try to see if I can fit
February
it in.
5th. Actually, next week, Tuesday after noon, Wednesday, wide open, Thursday, wide open. The last week of the month, apparently I don't have too many meetings. It's a nice
So,
thing.
is, Tuesday, I've got a meeting right in the middle of the day, so. Wednesdays. You wanna do it in the afternoon?
Yep, that's fine.
Thursday, the 30th?
Sure. I'll just block the whole thing and then you let me know what time works.
We can start at 1.
Perfect.
Schedule an hour and a half?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We good there?
Just if there's comments, suggestions, goals that you want Nate and I to discuss?
At this point.
Okay.
No, just getting started.
Nope, okay.
All right, we're gonna move on to 7.3, replacing Councilman DiMaggio's seat. We have 3 applicants. I'd like to know if the board wants to schedule that, to do the interviews. What's your,
Well, I'm a little confused because we never even discussed this at the last meeting. And how did we get,
well, we put the signboard out there, and it was on the webpage, because we said to do that. And we've got 3 applicants.
we did say to do that?
Yes, we did. I purposely asked for it, and it's been out on the board, it's been on the website.
So is there an election? Is there?
So what's gonna, yeah, so I talked to,
I don't remember having a conversation either, because I went home from the meeting thinking that we busted.
Yeah.
That we what?
That we busted that topic, that we didn't address it later after Jim made his announcement.
Then we'll keep the what do you wanna do?
Well,
We can keep the advertisement going then. When are we gonna do it?
well,
We don't have to do it.
I think that we need to follow the same process. I think we need to put the advertisement in the paper, let it run for a couple of weeks, and get applicants
Okay?
and to do it that way.
And give yourselves a deadline.
Yeah,
That's one of the
that's
things
what I'm
where,
looking-
yes, that's one of the things we've always been done better.
So we gotta approve the money to do the advertisement. So you guys usually did 250 or 500?
Well, that was because we ran on Indeed. This won't run on Indeed. This is just gonna be in the local
Okay.
paper, correct? That's what I'm.
Yeah. So if we do the advertisements, so our next meeting is on the 5th.
Yes.
Yep.
If we do the applications, we either gotta get them in by the 30th so that they can be processed, collated, and compiled for the agenda that goes out on the 31st. Or we push it out 2 weeks to get to get the applications and schedule it for the 19th meeting.
Okay.
And
What do you guys wanna do?
I have no problem pushing it. I mean, there's no urgency to it.
No?
There's not a deadlock voting concern here. I mean, we have,
Nope.
no, so, to get them out in the Friday, the 14th, February 14th agenda, end of business day on the 12th, 4 o'clock on the 12th.
Run the ad till the 12th?
We receive applications up until 4 o'clock on the 12th.
yeah, that's about 2 weeks, so that's about what we do, so that would be good. Yeah, I think the 12th.
February 12th?
It's 3 weeks.
Yeah, but you're probably not gonna get it out. When are you gonna get that out? You're gonna get it out?
The ad, we can
2 or 3
get
days
out.
to get it out.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's gonna take a couple days.
You're
to
right.
get- Yep.
Well, in due respect too, you also have the signboard out already.
Yeah, it's
So
been
you
out.
should add that as part of time.
And it's been on the website
just-
for 2 weeks.
But no, I think that's a great schedule. I was gonna ask to push it out. I think you
So
guys
we
need more
wanna
time
run
to
the
get all
ad until
applicants.
Yeah,
February
just wanna
12th?
make sure we-
Yeah,
Everybody that wants to get in.
exactly.
I know you're saying to accept the applications up to February 12th.
I
Run
would
the
put it
ad
in-
right
I
till
would, I would put it in the paper once.
For how long? A week?
No, just one time. Advertise
Oh,
it.
just the paper, okay,
If,
yeah.
if it's Wednesday, get it submitted by Friday, it'll be in Monday or Tuesday's paper. That's when it'll go in and accept applications until the 12th of February.
But
Okay.
the most read paper is always a Sunday. So,
So if it goes out tomorrow, it could be in Sundays.
correct. And that gives you the most time.
One time in the paper, you're saying. Okay. Adam, we'll see what we can do about that tomorrow.
So it's gonna be one time in the newspaper, you leave it on the website and you leave the
Yeah,
signboard
we're
out.
gonna leave it out, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I would just put if you can add a deadline to the website.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll add a deadline up until February 12th, accepting
Yes.
applications till that date.
That's valid, yeah.
Okay?
And then bring the sign in on the 12th.
Bring the sign in on the 12th too. Okay, great.
So if we've got that, just following that process through, that it goes out on the 14th,
Yep.
we're meeting on the 19th. Can we discuss now when we want to do interviews?
Well, we could have 2 or we could have 10. So we're gonna kinda need to know that when we're gonna do interviews based on what we get, right? To put on an agenda, cause if we got 10 or 15 people, how long do you speak to each one? We can't put it on a night that we're loaded up.
No, but I would myself would want to do this as a special meeting for the interviews of
Oh.
the town board member. That'd be it. We just do,
Okay,
we have a half hour per applicant.
okay,
I get, that's just what I was thinking.
yeah.
I think I had 15 minutes, and we had like 7 people.
Yeah.
And they had slotted times where they came in,
Right.
Agreed.
so.
Yeah, so every half hour, we're starting a new one.
You wanna set the special, what date you're gonna do the special meeting on? Is that what you're saying?
Probably be beneficial to set it way ahead of time.
Yeah, let's do it.
And for you, I mean, you, for
Yeah,
your schedule.
lock it in, so I don't.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, give us a date.
You lock on it.
It's gotta be after the 19th, right? Cause that's what
Yup.
we're going through. So February 19th. And this conversation, we will have discussed at the 19th meeting who we're gonna interview. We get 30 applicants, we're not gonna do 30 interviews.
Right.
I agree.
So we'll discuss that night, how many interviews we're gonna do.
Okay.
Basically
or
set
the-
the agenda for the meeting.
Yep, so, okay, so, for, I don't think that it's reasonable to do it that week, that Thursday or Friday, cause we gotta coordinate that with the people, unless it's gonna be in the
Right.
advertisement.
We gotta give them time to be able to come in to interview.
Yep, so
Some
then
notice.
next week. I have all day Monday available. What are you guys looking at for during the day, during the evening?
I'm good. You
Doesn't
tell me
matter
what-
to me.
You tell me a word. Monday's a good day for me.
Okay.
That far in advance, I can
My-
make it work, just
Yeah.
Nope.
what works for you, sir.
Mhm.
My day blows up on the
Yeah,
daily basis.
exactly.
So, the 25th, Tuesday the 25th.
What time?
Start at 8 and run them through.
But that's gonna be difficult for people that, I don't know if that's gonna work for people that are applying. They probably got jobs. And they're gonna have to take a day off of work to come do this for an interview?
I did.
Okay, I'm just,
I don't know what, I
Did
just
you-
don't know what,
When you did, so you said that, when you did it, past practice, we did it during the day? Would we do it for
Dave, was that
Dave
night
was,
on,
Dave was at a meeting,
was that a meeting?
It was Zoomed,
yes.
Yeah,
and,
mine was
during
here at a
COVID.
meeting.
and it was at night.
It was at night. I'm just thinking, it's kinda hard to ask people to take a day off of work to come to be
Or you just-
possible pick to be on a board member, but it's just my thought.
I'm just you asked me what my experience was, that's what it
Yeah.
was for me. And it was a whole lot less formal,
Yeah.
you know,
Mine was right
16 years
here
ago,
in the
so-
public. Adams was here in the public.
well, it would all be public.
Yeah, it's public.
No, what I meant at night, I spoke wrong.
Okay,
It was done at evening.
all right, well, then now we're looking at evenings. That's gonna limit things. But I mean, cause, you know what I'd prefer to do is, let's vet out how many.
That's what I was saying.
Let's
See what we get.
See what we got on the 19th, and we'll set it, because if we're doing 6 interviews, that's 2 nights. So I'm not gonna, I don't wanna
Right.
sit here for
Right,
6 hours, 7 hours,
right.
tying people up. Also, the conversation's gonna be one night, you've got 4 applicants we're gonna do, 2 of them can't make it that night, then we're having conversation about what we're gonna do with it. But at some point, you just gotta hold the line and say, this is what we're doing, and if
Well,
they
we
can
are.
attend, they can.
We're cutting off applications on February 12th. On the 19th, we'll evaluate where we're at.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Joint services with the town of Barker, ECO, Nate?
You can see attached to the IMA.
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions about it?
I did not.
I have not.
I have none.
Okay. All right, me neither, we're gonna move on. 8.1, the attorney's report.
Well,
What?
I've got no questions about it, but what's the process to move it forward, you know, to go through anything, to, you know, to actually,
There's a resolution at 9.5 to authorize it.
okay. The reason I was looking at that is because the date was,
Probably, what do we date it?
Last week.
Made as.
was just blank.
Oh, well, because we weren't sure when you guys were gonna adopt it, so it'll be authorized, authorized tonight, then when Mike signs it tomorrow, he can put January 22nd.
You good?
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't hear you. All right, we're gonna move on to 8.1, attorney's report.
Yep, 1 second. So, planning board met, earlier this month. As mentioned during one of the public comment sessions, there was a conflict with my office regarding an application that had come in recently. It was not heard at the last meeting. It's on the agenda for the February meeting. What disclosed that conflict? It's regarding the Abbey Family Trust application for a private road. And the planning board discussed retaining conflict counsel. They actually brought up both Nadine Bell, who I know had been working with the planning and zoning boards previously, and then also Sarah Campbell with Hindman, Howard & Cattell, which is a local firm. HHK does represent a lot of people privately and businesses in the area, but Sarah has, I know, and for other clients of mine locally, served as conflict counsel on occasion, so that can work out. So the planning board is asking that the town board authorize both Sarah Campbell and her firm and Nadine Bell and her firm to act as conflict counsel. They have not talked with either of them yet, so they don't know who's actually available for this yet. And then one of the suggestions I had was if the town board just authorizes them and both of these firms as conflict counsel generically for, let's say, the calendar year 2025. In the future, when this comes up again, if it comes up again, then the planning board doesn't, and the zoning board wouldn't need to keep coming back every single time to continue asking for permission to retain conflict counsel. They would just go and do it, and it would be paid out of the other contingency legal fees line item, whichever one that is. So that is, I guess, the ask that the board pass a motion authorizing both Hindman, Howard & Cattell and I think it's Costello Cooney as conflict counsel for the planning and zoning boards on all matters where conflict counsel is required in the year 2025.
Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
My thought is I would rather do it per conflict because I have no idea that they're not gonna be conflicted out on it. You know, on a future issue.
This is true. So you're saying we're gonna automatically get these two, or look to these two firms first?
It would just automatically authorize both of these firms to act as conflict counsel. If either of these firms had a conflict, of course, then then the planning board and the zoning board would have to come back to you to get somebody else authorized as conflict counsel for those purposes. You don't have to. It was just a suggestion to try to streamline it. Jean would like these to come before the town board every time. That's certainly appropriate.
Well, I think it keeps us abreast of how many conflicts we're having, correct? Is that what you're thinking, Gene?
That's part of the, you know, unforeseen consequence of that by having them come to the town board as opposed to just, we're gonna find out anyway because at some point somebody's gotta authorize a contract for that, so it's gonna come to the town board eventually, but it's, we've got a lot of conflicts and that's
But
gives me
the citizens
reservations on it.
coming before the planning board and the ZBA shouldn't be held up because of the conflicts and get pushed out 2 or 3 months because our law firm has conflicts. I think what Nate's trying to say is, you correct me where I'm wrong, but I'm thinking of it, we're supposed to be here serving the public. If our lawyers are conflicted out and they're at the ZBA or the planning board and they get bumped another month and another month because of that, that's not the citizens' fault. So if we have someone on we have a go-to pitch hitter, so to speak, that it goes to, it doesn't drag on this process.
Well, it certainly does, because I'm not authorizing a blank check to both of the, any
I
other.
don't think they're asking for a blank check.
Well, no, that's the functional issue of what you're talking about doing, is just authorizing them. And if we have to authorize each individual conflict as a contract, so it doesn't,
Wouldn't they have a letter of engagement or anything if we had a backup counsel? No?
no.
Because they would give us, I'm thinking of like in
Yeah,
my
a
world.
A formal engagement letter, I mean, this type of work they would do on hourly rate basis.
Right.
You know, I mean, unless you're trying to negotiate a flat fee with them.
Right.
every time.
I'm not, no, I wasn't trying to do that. I'm trying to manage the issues that the town is having, because Coughlin and Gerhardt's got so many conflicts with the clients and the applicants.
Yep,
That's bothering me a lot.
yep.
And just passively in the background, having the process go for an entire year does not give me the financial ability to understand what those responsibilities are. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but that's, I agree with that, but we're still going to get it, because if someone, Mr. Smith, comes to the planning board and they're conflicted out with Coughlin and Gerhardt, why should they get held up? If we have second counsel and they go to it, we're still gonna see that report of the expenditures that we have with that, and then we can take that up with our main counsel quarterly or yearly, whenever we want, and say, why, this is costing us too much money. I just don't think the citizens should be held up in their projects because of this.
No, but we're not having this conversation tonight about a meeting that's gonna happen tonight at 9 o'clock at the planning board. You put an application into the planning board or the ZBA, and those are scheduled for meetings that are going up. So there's a lot of time in between to make sure that there's no conflicts. It isn't an hour, 11th hour issue. This is something that you've got weeks and weeks to get through.
Well, then we gotta change the process then, or stick to the process, because applicants are coming before the planning board.
Let me say this. This discussion is not a town board issue other than the attorney. I'm not gonna get involved in the planning board schedule or their process or how they deal with their recusement or
Okay.
their attorney. This issue is about who's gonna do the attorney for us as a town board to pay them. The other process, they've gotta work out. And it's not a town, I'm not gonna be responsible
No,
for the
no,
town board.
I understand
or
that.
for the planning
I
board.
agree with that.
So that's what I want to limit this discussion to. And that's just my opinion. We can
Yeah.
do what
No.
I mean, we can make a motion to do it and we can
David,
vote on it.
Kevin, what's
and
your
move on.
thoughts? You sat on the planning board for a long time.
No, I don't, like he said, I don't think it has to do with the planning board, it just has to do with, it has to be brought in front of us, and we need to make a decision on what attorney we want them to use.
Okay.
They'll have that all figured out by the time it comes to the town board for appointing or approving financial reimbursement to a firm. It's gotta come from the planning board. We're not gonna just sit here and get a report from Nate tonight to authorize something. That's gonna be, Nate's office is gonna know weeks ago that he's got a conflict because of the applicant.
But right now, the planning board is on hold waiting for an answer from us. So it doesn't work the way you just described.
It does, because we're talking about the planning board, we're talking about approving the firm tonight for that issue, not for every issue in 2025.
But I thought you just said by the time it comes from the planning board or ZBA, it's come to us and then we decide that matter.
I absolutely believe it should have, but we knew about it 2 weeks ago. And we knew we were gonna talk.
Okay, fair enough.
And we knew we
Yep.
were gonna talk about it tonight to approve it, and we're on schedule for that, so we're not holding anybody up.
Okay. So who do we gonna give them?
Well, it's not-
Which
it-
law firm do we pick?
So
Who did they pick?
What they
We
asked
don't know.
for was
They didn't
for
pick.
authorization to go with either or both HH&K and Costello Cooney, because no one from the planning board has reached out to either of them yet to ask about their availability.
So, I mean, so how is that a town board issue when we don't have anything from the planning board?
I think what they were expecting was I would come back to the town board tonight and ask for you to authorize them to work with both of those firms in the event one of them is not available. You know, I mean, I think in the past, I'm not necessarily positive the planning board or the code department have been proactive in making, reaching out and having these conversations with these law firms. I mean, they're, I think, relying on me to make this communication to you, and
They absolutely are relying on it, because I don't think the chairmans are doing that.
They need to do it, though.
I understand that.
It's their responsibility.
I understand they're supposed to do it. I'm just telling you what seems to be happening, so.
So we're not gonna pick a firm for them tonight, right? They're gonna have to do it themselves? Is that what I'm getting the drift here?
if you don't, they're comfortable with either a firm, to be clear. Right? Sarah Campbell was brought up by the planning board chairman as an option. He knows she's local, she's apparently worked with the town in the past. He just offered her as an opportunity, or as another option, and everyone on the planning board said, yeah, we're comfortable with either. Ask the town board if we can, go with each of them just in case one of them's not available.
So the way I understand is that it's their responsibility from now on to pick their lawyer. Like you say,
Still
we're
has to
out
come
of,
to us for
we're out,
No, let me restate what my issue is. When the applicants come before the planning board or the zoning board, they are represented by an attorney.
Not always.
Well, then, let's leave that into a different conversation, because we're talking about the ones that are conflicted out for the applicants. Coughlin and Gearhart's got a conflict with the applicant,
Okay.
and can't represent the town in that because of the conflict.
Correct.
At that point, the conversation needs to happen from the attorney to the planning board to make sure that he's conflicted out. That has to come to us from Nate's office.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me what the recommendation is from the planning board as far as whose attorney it is. That's not the point. It's the town board who has to authorize the work and the expenditure of the funds for that other attorney.
Yep.
That should be in the attorney's report. That should be part of the agenda. So that we would have that information before we have this conversation.
So does our town attorney make the recommendation for the next law firm? Does the planning board make it? Does the ZBA make it, or does the town board? I'm just asking a question.
In the
The
pa-
recommendation,
Yep, in the past, it has come from the attorney,
okay.
and I would expect that
Yeah.
would have gone through and said, we have this
Okay.
issue. Does
Perfect.
that attorney have a conflict with that applicant? Does that attorney have a conflict with that meeting night? If that doesn't vet out, then go to somebody else.
So if our town attorney is at the planning board or ZBA, and he or she knows that they are conflicted out, that attorney for the town needs to do their due diligence to bring that to us and to find it an attorney that is not conflicted out.
Yes.
Okay.
Nate,
My only qualm would be, if we have a conflict, I always provide recommendations, but it's the client who should be choosing the attorney that represents them.
Right.
I mean, inherent in a conflict is I'm conflicted.
Right.
Me saying, oh, but go with this guy.
Go with Billy Bob, yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a bunch of options, 'cause that's if you really want those, but I'm not sure
Appropriate, yeah.
on having the conversations with the attorney about, oh, well, I've got this conflict, here's all this information about.
No, because
Yeah,
once you're
maybe.
conflicted out, you should be removed from it as much as possible, correct?
that hasn't happened in the past, so if that's the issue, then that's a separate conversation, but Coughlin and Gearhart has always given us recommendations. That's how we ended up with Ashford Brook and every other attorney that came in to take over for the conflicts.
And I mean, there's a reason, right? I mean, Sarah Campbell, Nadine Bell have been used by the town in the past. If somebody said to me generically, I would say, yeah, either of these attorneys are perfectly adequate and fine to represent the town in this stuff. So in one sense, I mean, I'm happy to give generic recommendations. You want me to actually make the phone calls, say, here's the information, this is the conflicts, what are your rates, without the planning board or the zoning board chairman being part of those conversations and being comfortable that the attorney that they're actually speaking to is who they want to work with.
Who's done it in the past?
Well,
Because it
I
hasn't been
think
the
if
town
that-
board.
If that hasn't been done in the past, I guess, to me, that would be the most appropriate way. It's been a little while since we've had a conflict, and the last one was represented, the town was represented by Nadine Bell, and that was just, I don't know, it seemed almost automatic. Like, it seemed very smooth getting her on board with that. I don't remember playing so significant of a role in that. I think it was just, there was maybe one email, I don't even remember who sent it.
Because we used her prior too.
Right, yeah.
That's why she was familiar.
Because I remember Keegan saying, like,
And that's
I
where it came
suggest,
from.
I said, you know, yeah. And we did nothing.
Gave us
We
recommendations.
did nothing, we just said, okay.
But maybe that wasn't the right thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the right thing, because I
So
don't
do
think
I.
our chairman can do it. I don't
Right.
think they
Right.
can handle that part of it.
You said you think they can handle it?
I don't think they can
No,
handle that part
right.
of it.
No, I don't think
It'd
they
be
will.
brand spanking new to them, I know that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with you. But
No, I mean, I understand. you know.
if you don't think it's right,
I guess it's one of those where trying to act as cleanly as possible, right? Where, oh, there's a conflict, I'd prefer to not have anything to do with the communications between, you know, the attorneys and the person who's the client at that point. If I need to make the initial, like, hey, here, you know, are you available? Put on this email as the planning board chair, they need representation, please communicate with them going forward. You know, I mean, I'm happy to do that if you want me to do a little more. I guess it's just a question of at what point, you know, are we out? And I'm not trying to make this more of a big deal than it needs to be, right?
No,
My
I just wanna
suggestion
get a
has just
system in
been
place.
initially
Right.
authorize conflict counsel generically. I hear Gene, I've already said, Gene, it's absolutely appropriate, the approach that you're taking. You know, I talked with Mike, trying to streamline it a bit for the clients, but hey, there's a push and a pull, no big deal. The planning board discussed at the meeting using either Hinman, Howard, and Cattell or Costello Cooney. That is all the planning board is asking the town board to authorize them to use, and after which, you know, I would expect after tonight, if you authorize one or both, then I would, or the planning board chair, you know, I'd give the planning board chair the contact information and say, hey, here's the contact information, you've been authorized, please reach out.
So for this application, I understand what Gene's saying, not do it blanket for the year. For this application that's before the planning board now, you're conflicted out.
Right.
Do we have that in writing?
No, I can certainly put it in writing, we've said it though. I've sent it in an email, I think, to the planning board and the code clerk.
If you've done that, that's in writing.
Yeah.
That,
But not to the town board.
no, but you're not, in that capacity, your client is the planning board, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the
That's all-
town of Shenango.
I understand, but the discussions with the planning board.
Right.
So I'm fine with that.
So then, we need to pick one and then an alternate for this case, in case they have a conflict with dates or times or anything else, right? So, we have two people, two different law firms for this application. Do we authorize Nate to contact whatever one first, and if need be, the second one if the first one's conflicted out? That's all I'm trying to do is move it along,
I
for
make a-
this application only.
I make a motion to reach out to,
Sarah, which one was it? The local one.
yeah,
Sarah Campbell.
Sarah Campbell.
HH&K.
HH&K.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
I have none.
None.
Take a roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. DiMaggio,
Aye.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
Aye. Anything else, Nate?
Yeah, so, let's see. The town recently received, an item I need to discuss with the town board in an executive session. This would be matters relating to the appointment of, appointment, promotion, suspension, discipline, et cetera, of an individual within the town. I'm not gonna identify the department, just because I don't wanna.
A personnel issue?
It is a personnel issue that needs to be brought to the board's attention,
Okay.
with potentially an action item in open session after we've talked about what the issue is.
Okay. All right, we'll adjust that later.
And then I just had a note from the discussion earlier about legal notices and department heads being able to spend if there's a line item for it. It's just not saying talk about it tonight, but consider asking your department heads if they can set a budget for those items, whether it's legal notices and possibly employee vacancies and advertising for those things, how much money. And then maybe they could ask or look at their own budgets and say, oh, I can shave a little bit here and create a new line item. And then that would solve that issue of needing a specific line item. Just a thought, again, not saying you have to, but given the discussion that was earlier. Aside from that, just various conversations with DPW superintendent about a variety of items, communications with the highway department, with the Dragonfly folks and their attorney, is what I did. If anyone has any.
The Dragonfly, because I was gonna talk
Oh,
about,
yes, thank you for.
all right, 'cause I
triggering
was
that.
gonna get to that.
Yep, so this was brought up, to be brought up during the attorney report session, got thrown off a little. So, of course, the gentleman has submitted the application or petition for a zoning amendment. The town board previously had asked, as I recall, that the applicant and their attorney propose specific revisions to the town code. I have reviewed these. I think that this accomplishes what they are seeking to do. And I will note that it, under the supplementary standards, does appear to be, I guess I'll use the word restrictive, in where it would actually be allowed. So it's not the entirety of the PDDC district, but it would be restricted to being not within 1,000 feet of, I'm just gonna summarize it as a residential district, and it's only then also permitted on lots adjacent to I-81, and it does restrict the square feet of the floor area for the particular use. And then, of course, it also talks about not producing significant truck traffic and dust, vibration, noise, or other external impacts. I think that if you are inclined to move this forward, those appear to be fairly normal, standard, reasonable types of protections and restrictions. I do think if you'd like to move this forward, then referring it to the planning board for an advisory opinion would be the next step. And I think as part of that, you should ask the town engineer to review the proposed regulation and prepare a map showing where exactly this would functionally be allowed.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, within the PDDC district, like where, right? 'Cause
Where else it would apply?
yes, where else it would apply? Because we're talking about
Or
the-
impact.
on I-81 with it out, further than 1,000 feet from residential districts. So it'd be very helpful from an environmental review perspective, and I'll just say like a fairness perspective, to understand how many parcels are we allowing this in, and that would arm you for the environmental review and also any public that come and have a lot of questions about this.
Don't we normally kick a request like this for planning board? I'm thinking of,
Yes, as I recall,
I went
zoning
through it
code
numerous times.
Your zoning code requires that a local law changing the zoning in some fashion be referred to the planning board.
Thoughts?
I'd like to know what the planning board thinks about it, so
I do too, and I think that's within our policy.
So I guess I'd like to advance it then, I guess, is that?
You wanna make a motion?
I make a motion to present this to the planning board
Further,
for further review or?
further review,
Or-
for the comments?
Yes.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
I have none.
Kevin?
I just got it tonight, so
No,
I
I
can't
know,
really
but I
comment,
mean-
I need to really look at it more.
Right.
But you,
We
I have no
normally go
problem.
to the
giving-
planning board,
yeah,
right?
you can take it to the.
That gives us time to look at it too and see what their comments are, correct?
Sure.
That's-
I mean,
Gene?
just looking for comments from the planning board.
I don't have any issue with sending it to the planning board, but I want to give them very clear expectations of when we want it back.
Okay,
So what are the, you know, what are the submission dates for the planning board to get on their agenda? You know, what meeting would it be at, so I have an understanding of when we're gonna get it back?
Mr. Clerk, you got any date on the next planning board? Nate, you probably got their agenda.
Yeah, well, not their agenda for the next
Well,
planning board
but
meeting, but their deadline.
Scheduled meeting.
Yeah, their next scheduled meeting is gonna be February
10th?
10th. I believe the deadline for making, for their applications is like a month in advance. I do know in the past, I believe the planning board has placed anything that you've asked them to consider and do on their agenda almost regardless of when you ask them to do it. So it's likely if you refer this to the you're referring it to the planning board, likely it would be on their next agenda without too much of an issue.
And then they can, if they need more time, they'll decide that.
They could take more time. I think where Gene's shooting for is giving them give us your comments back no later than probably their March meeting would be March 10th.
So no later than March 10th? Gene?
Well, I'm looking at the meetings, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to
Yeah.
take all you guys' information here, so when is their next meeting?
It should be the 10th of February.
January. Yeah, it's not on the calendar, because the planning board. Nothing's on the calendar, okay.
How about just saying as soon as possible?
Forward it to them and we can address it on our agenda when we get it back.
For the next meeting, make the request.
I'd request it for the next meeting.
Request it for the next meeting. You gonna amend your motion
I amended it to
for this
meeting,
next
yep.
meeting?
Yep, yep.
And I second that. Any more discussion?
I have none.
None.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. DiMaggio?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye. It's going to the planning board. You're welcome.
Well,
Well, it's, what?
Just be clear on what it's going to the planning board for.
Just for their review back to us. We want their
Yeah,
comments.
right.
Yeah, we gotta have their comment.
Yeah. Okay? Anything else, Nate?
No, I'm just typing the email to Diane and Brian right now, and I'm saying, please circulate the attached to the planning board for placement on their next agenda. The town board would like an advisory opinion on this. And then, what's the, when did you guys want it? I know you voted on it, but
Next meeting.
by the next town board meeting.
Yep.
Well,
No, by their next meeting, when's ours?
it would be the 19th of February
Yeah,
meeting.
19th,
'cause
for
they-
us, it's the 19th.
I'm gonna say in time for the town board's February 19th meeting.
Yeah.
Could try.
We can try.
Yeah.
Okay? Anything else, sir?
I think that's it.
All right, we're gonna go to the supervisor's report. Mr. Clerk brought up the thing about this gentleman that had a broken pipe in his basement. He's asking for the board to give him, he tried to get Greg to give him a reduction because his pipe was broken in his house and it was, went through a lot of water. I have no idea.
A lot of water?
Well, I'm not sure.
Is the address in the town of Shenango, is it the town of Dickinson, where is it?
No, it's in the town of Shenango.
we
Yeah,
sure?
that's not on it.
I didn't see an
Well,
address.
our guys went there,
Who-
I'm assuming.
Who's Andrew?
That, Versace,
No, but he had somebody come shut it up.
that's our Andrew that works for the town. That's what Greg told me. Nate, do you know any more about this?
I know what you received, which is this gentleman asked for some dispensation or relief from the water and sewer bill.
And Greg doesn't have the authority to do that.
Greg does not have the authority under your town code to do that.
And my thought is if the guy's garden hose was running, we don't usually reimburse someone for that, do we? I don't know I've never lived in a water district, so I have no idea how this works.
So there's not a lot of information in this request for me to tell you whether or not it's really relevant, having a 2-hour conversation
Okay.
about $20 or 15 cents or whatever it is. But I can tell you that the past practice of the town board has been to give relief to the customer for something that was outside of their control, that,
Okay.
like, one time. That has been what has happened in the past.
Okay.
But the letter, but Greg has already put in writing that he's not doing it, so the resident is coming to the town board.
Correct. Well, I don't know that Greg really
I don't think-
responded to him in a letter yet.
I don't think he sent it out.
Right, he didn't send anything
Right,
to him.
the resident's letter was directed to the town board, not to Greg.
Right.
But Greg was ready to respond saying Greg can't do anything about it.
Right. But if that's been the policy, I just wanna know what
Well,
we
I guess
normally
I
do.
was confused because the date of the letter is the 22nd. So that's what's in the email that the town board got. So I read that thinking that's what has already gone back to me. But in the past, we've gotten a recommendation from Greg's
Okay.
superintendent asking us to do something. Not just here's a problem, fix it. Here's the solution that I want. Greg's letter to the town that he's written is that there's nothing he can do.
There's nothing he can do, but if the town practices to give a citizen relief, then should we do that? Make a motion to authorize Greg to alter the guy's water bill, correct?
Not until I know how much it is.
Yeah, and he says in his letter there that he cannot change the billing and he cannot credit. So we have to, how would we get the funds back? to
That's
the
what I'm
general?
asking, how it was
Well,
done in the
that's what I'm saying,
past.
there's not enough information for us to make that decision.
Okay.
I guess I'd like to know how big of a problem it was.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Was it
I stayed out
50
of it.
gallons or was it 5,000 gallons? Before I get too into this.
Yeah.
And my question was gonna be what Gene presented to us. I didn't know if we've ever done it in the past,
Yeah, I
and if
didn't
there
either.
was and now what you've stated.
We've done it in the past, and I think the people in the water districts of this town really kind of get the heavy burden of the cost of the water district to begin with, because of, the
Yeah.
offset between the residential paying the majority of the commercial use and stuff. I think there's a big disparity there.
Yeah,
So I am absolutely inclined to give them as much relief as we can, but I really don't know if we're talking about 10 cents or $1,000.
so then, is it all right for me to tell Greg to get us the information on how many gallons and what we're talking about the bill, and to email it to us? So at the next meeting, we can address it.
And it's gonna be sewer too, because the sewer's based off his meter,
Yeah.
so,
If he's got sewer. So a lot of people only have water.
well, it was said that in his.
Oh, he did, okay.
So typically what I would recommend getting as information, right, is the last bill, which is generating the issue, and then the 3 prior bills before that.
See
at
what the
least.
average is.
See what the average is.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's what, I know that Greg has given us that information in the past, Donnie has done that in the past. I mean, so it's not a, yeah.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
That's my position.
Okay, excellent. That's all I got. We're gonna move on to resolutions.
Yep. Abstract, resolution 9.1, approving abstract, or excuse me, resolution 9.2, approving abstract number 1. 9.1 is the abstract.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
I have none.
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 Gene?
I apologize, I was taking a note. Let me just get back to the agenda. Abstract,
Yep, 9.2.
no objection.
Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. DiMaggio,
Aye.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
Aye.
9.3, I think, is not needed, and it's not attached, because you folks did that at a special meeting.
Yep.
9.4, resolution authorizing Mr. Donnelly to attend the Association of Towns 2025 annual meeting and training.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have none.
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 Gene?
None.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. DiMaggio,
Aye.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
Aye.
And resolution 9.5, approving a vehicle IMA for the DCO vehicle with Barker.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have none.
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 Mr. DiMaggio,
Aye.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
I have a question
ahead.
on resolutions. Do we have to, we did do the resolution for our delegate for the conference that now Mr. Donnelly is going to? Do we need to do that for him?
Do you want him to be a delegate?
I think he signed up to be a delegate.
No,
now.
actually, the resolution that you adopted does appoint him as the delegate.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought we
Yeah.
passed it, because nobody was going.
Yeah, well, you
But that's why we did that.
not pass it the last meeting, because nobody had volunteered to go, and then I
Oh,
guess
okay.
Brian said he wanted to
Yep.
go.
So this one will take care of that.
This one will take care of that. It
Okay.
actually appoints Mike as the deputy delegate, so.
Yeah. Not going. Have no desire to go to New York City. Okay, future board topics, gentlemen.
Tonight, we were supposed to be going over the vehicle policy, and that isn't on the agenda.
Did you have that on the, for agenda for tonight? Do you remember that in your meeting notes? I don't.
No,
It's okay.
No, it was on the future board topics list, and we pushed
For the vehicles?
for the vehicles, and we pushed off the meeting, or the town board policies, topic.
I believe I remember you said that you had settled that in December. Am I mistaken?
No, it was submitted to the town board months ago, and just waiting to get on the agenda, so.
Okay.
And we even had a short conversation with Greg and or Darren, I don't remember, Darren, I thought it was you that brought up the vehicle policy?
Yeah, I think you did bring it up, didn't you, Darren?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're not allowed to leave until this vehicle thing is done. You have to keep
so
going back.
just for the future board topics list, the one that's on the agenda tonight only goes out to the next meeting, and that has been our policy to have them listed all the way out for the meetings that, we went out there, not just the next board meeting. So I'd like to get back to that format. If we decide that we're gonna put it on in April or May or September, that stay on there, so that it just doesn't go out to the next meeting.
Where do we have our vestibule too? That's something we gotta adjust to, correct?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, okay.
Yep.
So
So I think you're gonna add, you gotta add for 219 on here, discussion of the Dragonfly, or the review of the planning
The review
board's.
from the planning board, yeah.
And I also believe Gavin sent us an email today. Unsafe structures. I don't know
Unsafe
if-
structures. Where are we at with that, Nate?
Gavin submitted his emails, which are, I think, his report back to the town board about the 2 structures that you previously authorized him to go and review. And then he has also
Got 2 new ones?
identified 2 or 3 new property, or not new, but additional properties that he is asking the town board to authorize him to go and take photos, make a report.
What is our process on that? Do we need to put it on an agenda? Do we need to?
Well, you will, if you choose to move forward on the 2 properties that he has provided reports, you will need to adopt a resolution, scheduling a public hearing, and directing service be made on the property owners, and holding a public hearing at some point. For the 3 or 4 properties he has not authorized, you will have to discuss whether you want to authorize him to go and prepare reports on those.
If the town eventually goes down the process that we actually remove do we somehow get it to charge to the property owners, the expenses that we get to remove it?
Yeah, that would be part of the application for the Supreme Court action, where we would ask for costs, including attorney's fees, and see what the judge eventually awards. But typically, if the town has to go in and demolish it, we hire a contractor, and then we take the invoice, go back to the judge, get a judgment for it, and lien it against the property.
Is this something that we wanna put on a future agenda and discuss?
Well, I think we
Yeah.
need to do it to make,
Looks
at
kinda-
least have the public hearing and start the process, correct?
Well, what are you gonna discuss? I mean, Gavin has got an ask of a situation, but he doesn't have a document for us to review to actually approve. So what
But
are?
that's what I'm saying, is
But you
that
gotta
what-
have the public
are
hearing
we-
first, correct?
Well, so Gavin, under your code,
Mm-hmm.
had been authorized to prepare a report. His report says to the town board, he thinks that these 2 structures are unsafe and should be demolished. It's the town board's next step to decide whether to hold a public hearing. So, I mean, I've not been directed to put anything together yet. If you want Gavin, as part of this process, to include with his report a resolution that schedules a public hearing on the matter, I mean, we can add that to the process. Gavin is not familiar with how this process works, and this is the first time I've been through it with you.
So I'm looking at a correspondence that Gavin sent out today. I don't wanna spend time at tonight's meeting going through this. I wanna read it, I wanna understand it.
All I'm asking is,
Yeah.
do we put it on a future
Yeah,
agenda?
that's
I'm not-
all
I don't
we're
wanna discuss
asking
it
is
either.
future agenda. Where do you wanna put it?
I could,
You wanna wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 meetings out, 3 meetings out?
or does
When
it
do we
warrant
put
a
on?
future agenda, or what
Right.
you're saying, do you wanna wait till the next meeting to see if it warrants to be put on a future agenda? Is that what you're stating?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that, because I think you do need to review it.
Yeah, 'cause he's got, okay.
I'm okay with letting this slide to another meeting.
Look, this
But-
is not a expedited
No.
process.
No.
This is gonna take a long,
Yeah.
you need to make sure you cross all the T's, dot all the
Yeah.
I's, so.
The last
I
one
agree, let's,
Took a couple years, I remember, when it was upstairs in the courtroom.
For purposes of helping Adam figure out how to frame the future topics, right? Because you have dates with topics. Do you have like a TBD
No
list of
TBDs.
items that you haven't picked a date for yet, right? So like Adam, there's like 6 properties total. I think, just do like whatever the TBD thing is. Unsafe structures, list all 6. So that the board will know that there's, I think it's 6, 5 or 6. That there's these 5 or 6 individual structures that need to be addressed based on Gavin's two reports and his other recommendations.
And if you would list that on that as unsafe structure
Okay.
process.
And do we want him here?
Well, that's a whole discussion when we,
Okay.
But we
Because we
need to
haven't picked-
schedule,
we
we
haven't
need to
picked
schedule them here because,
Okay.
well, we haven't picked it yet.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's,
yeah,
mark
pick
that.
the date, you're saying.
Yep, we haven't
Mark
put a
that
date on it yet.
TBD on the future topics list.
Yeah.
Okay.
The,
So- You're gonna wait for, say that again, what you said earlier. You're going to wait, put it on, to give it a date, once he gets us.
Next meeting, we can discuss again
Okay,
future topics, and that'll be on your list here.
but not on the agenda,
Well, it's not on any agenda, right? It's not gonna be on next week's agenda,
next meeting.
or next
Okay.
meeting's agenda, so.
Right, got it. Okay,
But that's just my suggestion. You
yeah.
do whatever you want.
Thoughts? No,
yeah, I like.
that makes sense.
That's okay.
where are we gonna do the vehicle policy? I think the vehicle policy is more of an important issue than the discussion on the manual.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Put it on next meeting, and
With,
And push the manual to the 19th? I'm sorry, is it the 19th?
yes.
Yep.
got it, Adam?
Yep, I do.
What else we got for the 5th or the 19th?
I want to put together the infrastructure for the internal networking connection for the building, for the building infrastructure for the connection of the
Bless you.
networks. So, is that something that the town board wants to look at options for?
You're talking about just communication between the departments or saving material and not losing,
Talking K Drive.
I'm talking that it could be that simple, or it could be as significant as putting in a storage network for a common source for everybody. So everyone's working off from a network drive instead of off of their individual computers.
So when we have people leave, we're not left in the dark, correct?
Right. And
Absolutely.
when a computer fails, we don't lose.
Everything.
Right.
that's important.
It's very important.
So is that end of March?
What do we have
Sure.
in the first part of March?
Well,
Possibly dragging.
it's probably about 15 or 20 hours worth of somebody compiling all the different options of what a information data management system is. So it's not something that I can put together in a couple of weeks and have it in February.
Okay.
You know,
End of March
outlining the
then.
process and
Okay.
then trying to get some budget numbers for, you know, what we're talking about, because this is nothing that was budgeted in '25. It is a significant cost. There is fund balance to allocate it to it. So I'm not concerned about the cost of it as far as an issue, but it hasn't been budgeted for '25, so that's all discussion. So that's why I said end of March.
End of March, okay.
March
So-
19th.
March 19th,
March 19th.
got that, Adam?
I do.
March 19th, that is, information system. Let's see, need to have a conversation on the fund balance reduction to meet our policy for that, so that's something that is in our fund balance policy that we're supposed to have done in January, but we're past that. So can we fit that in February, the 19th? I see that as about a half an hour conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the 19th is good.
For that, Mike, we're gonna, I know you sent out the fund balance of
Yeah.
where things were, but there was, we're all set with, the ARPA money?
ARPA's, yeah, that's all.
100% gone, right?
Yeah,
So that
that's
conversation's
all
done.
gone, yep.
So, okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay. And the department line items, and then the agenda, we had talked about having those documents, everything on the agendas, so can we have a conversation about when those deadlines, we're gonna start enforcing those, making sure everything is there for all the reports and everything on it, so I've got them before the meeting.
Did we have that conversation? I couldn't hear everything you just said.
We've had conversations about making sure that all of the agenda item
Friday.
documents are included with the agenda, so that we have them before it. So I'd like to have the conversation about when we're gonna implement that and enforce it. So,
Work rules is another thing we need to address this year, we talked about before. We completed that though, I'm thinking of something else, never
yeah,
mind.
no, but that's a September, October issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can put that on there for October. Work
No.
rules?
No. No,
Why?
I'm thinking it's, well, go ahead if you want, October, okay.
Yeah, it'll keep it.
There was
it'll keep
something
it
you
in the
wanted us
context.
to address before, because we waited so long, wasn't that the work rules?
I know.
Because we got
Greg-
bogged down with it,
I know Greg had brought up some tweaks to the work rules. Is that
for the vacation or something.
Right.
Yeah, looking at.
That's what I was
That was
thinking.
Greg's.
That was Greg's thing, yeah. He put on the agenda to talk about that. Doesn't mean we have to, but,
I don't have any problem having the conversation.
okay,
Put it on?
when do you wanna put it on? March, March 19th?
Mark,
5th?
Pick one.
Just try to spread it out a little bit. You gonna put that water bill discussion on next meeting?
So did we agree to put it on Greg, on the 5th?
March 5th?
Or March 5th?
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought we agreed to have the conversation of when it would go on,
On what?
about when it would go on. What- Not next meeting, I don't care, if we've got
no,
time.
March
next-
5th,
If we've got, no, March 5th.
We're talking March 5th for what you were,
for Greg.
for Greg, but what my question was, the water bill that we talked about tonight,
Oh.
we asked to get more information on it. Do we wanna put that on the next meeting?
Yes.
I would say yes. I don't think it's gonna be very long subject.
No, Greg's gonna get us the information on what the volume is.
Yeah.
So that's February 5th,
February.
New business?
yes. March 5th is the Greg's vacation issue question.
Okay.
Update on the website.
Anything else?
Do we have anybody that is spearheading or making the updates to the website with the project meetings and getting that consolidated so that everything that's on the website for the meeting dates is correct?
It would just be Jody. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need, she's just gonna continue to work on it?
She's trying to do it, yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah, she's been learning.
I got an out in left field kind of subject. Do we have problems with our copier? Seems so a lot of the figures and stuff I get is very light to read. It's hard to
Our
read.
copiers in this building are unbelievable. They're constantly having trouble in our office
Okay.
with the copiers.
Because when Lori gives us the financial reports, it's like the first couple of pages, they're
Yep.
faded out, and then after it gets
Yep.
going, everything is nice and, just a question. just a
Yeah,
question.
they're constantly fighting with them copier machine. I don't know how yours is in your office, not the one in the mailroom.
Well, nobody's a big fan of these Xerox machines. Does she need toner? Or is it just?
It just gets locked out half the time, and they're constantly on the phone with them, many times.
Is there a reason why she's not printing them to a PDF? Instead of printing them out to paper and then scanning them? To email them out?
I don't know that answer. I don't know why they're doing it that way.
That would absolutely
Yeah.
resolve the issue.
I'll ask them that.
Okay.
All right,
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Anything else, Gene? David?
I'm fine.
Okay.
February, is that something that, bids and all that supposed to come back? I have my next one.
Yeah, can we do Darren on the 19th of February?
Sure.
That's 19th of February for
For
what?
the lift and the truck? Oh, just the truck.
Discussion also, we can have that sooner or later, but for the truck, if we receive the bids, I'm gonna have them back, and then I can have all the information for you the week before that, so that the resolution can be put together, and accept the bid, or whatever, at that point, if we decide.
But your
didn't you
lift
say
is
that
only
your
good
lift
for
is
a
for the
month.
end of February?
The lift is good
30 days, you said.
till no, it was the 17th, they validated it till good through February 28th.
Right, so you don't want to wait till the March one,
Yeah,
because
so
then
you
you're gonna,
need both on the 19th.
you need them both on the 19th.
Just put them both on the 19th.
Yes,
Put them both on the 19th.
yes. Thank you, Jim. That's where I was going. You can't wait till March.
You guys are gonna miss me.
Yeah, we are. Anything else?
Hey, you weren't on the mic.
Yeah. We're just talking to the wall.
That's fine.
Okay, we're moving on. Open forum. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion or limited, before I do that, we're gonna make a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
No, you're doing open,
I am gonna go to open, but that's the end of it, adjournment. So I'm just saying, we're gonna do the public speaking. We agree to go into executive session, and the public can stay if they choose to afterwards. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Guests shall speak in orderly fashion or limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anyone like to speak? Yes, sir.
Just like to say something to Jim. Jim, it's been a pleasure having you up there, and you've done an excellent job the years you set up there as far as I'm concerned. Hate to see you go. I understand why you're leaving. Family's gotta come first. And, good luck in the future. Thank you. One other thing. It's a suggestion to you people. Keep preaching. We're here for the town of San Diego citizens, but at their pleasure, trying to do a good job for them. Would you consider taking numbers 10 and 11 and switching them around? 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes for this this future board topic. I don't care, I don't know, well, there's no audience left, you're driving them out, but, it was wasting my time. I'm gonna find out what those future topics are when you actually bring them up, and I can listen to what you're gonna do about them. I don't care 30 minutes of back and forth, and I just sit here twiddling my thumbs. If it was the other way around, I could have my open forum if I wanted to say something. Like, the main reason I stayed was to say goodbye to Jim. And it just makes sense to just flip those two if you would consider that. Because I certainly would appreciate it.
I think that is a good idea.
Well,
Possibly. For a
I
conversation.
have no intention of flipping 11, which is open forum, because open forum isn't 4. We have
No,
two,
I wanted forum up in number 10. In other words, that before the future board topics.
You switch into, yeah.
Board topics after the open forum. So we can have our say, and then you guys can sit here and
For-
do your open forum.
Right.
As long as you want.
Or executive session.
And the executive session is the last, like you
I think-
eventually put that
yeah.
last. We don't have to sit here and waste our time with that. But you're accommodating the people in the town. of
Trying to.
Tenango. And I think you want more than what's in
Yes.
this room here as audience
Yes.
for your people.
I think that's, what do you guys think?
That's all I
That's a
have.
suggestion. Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
I think you should be on the board.
Yeah.
He's getting out of
Yeah, we got applications.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, get home safe.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else like to speak?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Going once, twice? All right, at this point, I make a motion to go into executive session for,
Can I say something before we
Yes.
do that? I like to thank Jim for his 10 years of
Yes.
service on the board, and there are 2 times that you acted as supervisor. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you
Jim.
very much.
and I absolutely, what's that?
It's absolutely been my pleasure.
Well, I can't thank you enough, because you certainly took the blunt of probably most of my stuff as a citizen. Jim, good luck to you too.
Good luck.
We are gonna go into executive session, so I think you're gonna leave us? Or would you like to sit in one last time for,
You know what, this is a tight decision
Mhm.
process.
yeah?
Yeah, limited asks.
So I have responsibility, I'll stay.
Glad to have you. Make a motion to go into executive session for, personal matters.
So moved.
All in favor? Okay.
I just, personnel matters.
Personnel, yes.
Not personal.
That is not an executive session topic.